Hey guys, what's up? Vero here. So on Sunday, my good friend Elvine, who is known for gold making in the WoW community, if you are not already following him on Twitch or subscribed to his Twitch channel, I'll leave a I'll leave a link in the description below, twitch.tv/ElvineMod. I recommend checking him out if you're looking to make gold. Some of the videos that I've done in the past with gold making were actually from him, which anytime they are, of course I mention him. And I've actually made gold through his website and stuff. So on Sunday, Elvine was on the podcast finalboss.tv, which is a podcast dedicated to raiding, and they also kind of discuss other things as well. And I watched it because, again, he's my friend, so yeah, why wouldn't I? And at some point during the show, someone asked him about like high pop servers and low pop servers with gold making, and he touched on it some, but I kind of wanted to make a video kind of addressing it a little bit further, and this is from someone who has, or who currently has, characters on both a low pop server and on a really high populated server, and kind of the differences with selling things and kind of how I deal with it and kind of pros and cons. And if you have any questions, of course, about either of them, you can always ask in the comment section below. So let's get started. So the current servers that I play on, for a low pop server, I currently play on Ysera, which is a horde dominated server. It's the server that I raid on, and a heroic raiding guild on my priest Suki, which I think I've shown videos of her, and I also have videos of us raiding. It is a very low pop server. It was recently flagged a couple days ago or last week for new players once again. We haven't been merged with another server, but I'm really hoping it ends up happening. Even if it ruins our economy for a while, I'm ready for it to happen because the server is just so dead that it's depressing. The server that I play on that's low pop is called Shattered Hand. I have a random Horde 82 warrior named Veronica Mars that I only list transmog items on her, and then sometimes my boyfriend gives me gems because he doesn't want to list them, and I list them and make gold. So that's kind of just another low pop server that I play on. And for the high pop server, I play on Darkspear. I have several alliance characters there that I play, and it is a very high pop server. There have been times where we've had queue times, which really suck when you're trying to log on and play. But I like the server, even though there's just way too many people sometimes. I don't have lip gloss.
No, mama.
That's actually kind of close. It looks like this has blood on it, but it doesn't. So currently for like gold income on Darkspear, I have I think like 120,000, give or take. On Shattered Hand, I recently bought a bunch of stuff, so I think I'm only like 10,000 or something. And on Ysera, I think I'm around 60 or 70 because I moved my mage from Ysera to Darkspear, so I brought 50k with her, so yeah. And then I have like a random druid on Thrall, and she has like 30,000, I think. So altogether I have over 200,000, so it's not super amazing, but I've definitely been making some gold lately because I've been actually trying again. So the items that I find work better on a low pop server are transmog, gems, and enchants. There's people always buying gems. Seems like there's always people buying enchants, and it seems like there's always people buying Xmog. And with transmog items, you can list them for a higher price because people will pay it, and there's no competition for it. For the gems, I usually just stick to meta gems, and actually I need to level another alchemist so that I can transmute them because my mage was my alchemist on that server, and then I took her away. Oops. And that would be my phone beeping at me because someone went live on twitch.tv. And then for enchants, I normally just stick to main enchants, so like weapon enchants, sometimes offhand, cloak, chest, sometimes gloves. I kind of just look at the price of what they are on the server and kind of look at the price of mats and then what mats I already have. Like, okay, I can make a Jade Spirit, or I can make, you know, a Cloak enchant or something, and then just kind of list it based off that and how much of a profit margin I will actually be looking at. High pop servers, I list those exact same items, but I can also list glyphs. I've never had good luck with selling glyphs on a low pop server. Maybe others have, but on Ysera and Shattered Hand, nope. There's just not as many people leveling new characters, just not as many people buying them. They rarely sell. Sometimes I just vendor them or delete them because I don't know what else to do with them, just from when I've leveled like inscription or something. I've also found that you can sell older items, quote unquote older items. So Elvine actually has he has a website where he has all this information, so I'll link all that stuff below, but he did a post, I guess, about getting old ore, like copper ore, pyrite ore, all that stuff, prospecting it, and then selling all of the mats that you get from it. Now, I tried that on the low pop server, and I made diddly. I tried it on the high pop server, and I actually made several thousand gold. It's actually pretty amazing. I mean, if he says that I can make a video on it and show you guys how to do it, because I was actually surprised with how much gold I made off of just old mats, just because people, when they're leveling professions, they don't want to level professions. They would rather just go buy the stuff than go farm for it. On a low pop server, you can tend to have higher prices. So for transmog, I've actually listed transmog items for way higher than they were actually worth, and they sold just because there wasn't anything else on it and the person wanted it. So yay me. But for gems, like primal diamonds, cut ones, I can usually sell them for 500 to 600 gold. I think the cheapest I've ever sold them for on a low pop server was maybe 450, 400 at the least. I usually don't list them below that. And on the high pop server, 200 gold if I'm lucky, 300, 400 maybe. It's very rare that they kind of stay at 400 just because of the amount of competition that there is. Speaking of competition, on the low pop server there's less competition. You don't have as many people undercutting you, you don't have as many people listing items, so you can control an entire market fairly easily without much effort and without having to really like hoard all of this stuff on the server, which is amazing because the less work you have to do and the more money you make, the happier you will be. And of course the cons for a low pop server are there's stuff that doesn't sell as fast. You might list 5 items and you might sell 1 or 2 before reset, depending on what the item is, while on the high pop server you might list 5 or 6 and they probably all sell, most likely within an hour or 2. There's also less options for selling. Like I mentioned, I never had any luck selling the old ore prospecting thing on the low pop server. It probably depends on your server, so I recommend trying it if it's cheap for you to try it, just to see if it sells. But I've never had any luck on a low pop server. So the high pop server pros and cons. So for the pros, you sell a lot faster, which is awesome because the quicker you get your gold, the happier you will be. I think I already said that, but whatever. You also have a lot more items. You have a lot more options for items to sell. You can do, you can buy old ore. You can even sell old ore and old bars because people are constantly leveling professions and people are lazy and they'll buy it. And it just makes things so much easier. The mats also tend to be a lot cheaper, so if you're buying, say, ghost iron ore to prospect and turn it into gems, they're a lot cheaper on the high pop server. I think the cheapest I've seen them was like 20 or 30 gold. The cheapest on my low pop servers were probably about 50 or 60. 40 is when I get really excited and I buy them on the low pop server. So the cons of the high pop server are things tend to be of a lower price just because people will undercut you really quickly, which is also another con, and so things get really cheap. So it might start at 500 gold, but within 30 minutes it might be down to 200, which can suck sometimes. Which means you also have a lot more competition, which really sucks. It's really hard to control a market on a high pop server because there's just so many people. I've heard Elvine say that you can always contact people in game and be like, hey, don't undercut me on this, or I'm bringing the price up of this. But on a high pop server, people are just gonna be like, lol, you mad, bro, because they don't care. They will list things for 50 gold because they can. They want a quick buck, and they don't want to have to put in the effort. For instance, sometimes I will buy out items on my low pop server and on my high pop server and relist them if they're listed really low. And on my low pop server, it works great because people on my server will actually whisper me, like, oh, did you buy out all the blah blah blahs? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, I'll wait and list stuff in like an hour so that you get some of your money back. I'm like, okay, great, that's awesome. On a high pop server, you don't get any whispers. In fact, you get undercut right away. Like, for instance, I bought a bunch of shoulder enchants, the intellect ones, because they were like 90 gold, and there wasn't that many on the auction house, so I was like, I'll just buy them up and relist them for 350, and I did that, and I started to get undercut, like, almost immediately. And so at first, they were 350, and people were buying 349, 348, 347, whatever, but then you had people that were like 200, 100, 50 gold, and so you kind of have to like watch it like a hawk. So I was literally logged on this character for like 30 minutes trying to keep the price up, and eventually I just gave up because I was like, whatever, I made most of my gold back. And then some, so I was like, that's good enough for me. I feel like if you are really gonna try and play the auction house, I feel like it's a lot easier on a medium population server. You're gonna have competition, but you're not gonna have as much competition as you would on a high pop server. You're going to have the option to sell various items that you normally probably wouldn't be able to sell on a low population server. And I don't know, I just feel like it just seems like it would work a lot easier. Like, I have friends that are on medium pop servers and they have no issue selling things, and it just sounds like it's the best of both worlds. But that does not mean you cannot sell stuff on a low pop server, and that does not mean you can sell stuff on a high pop server. It just means you kind of have to figure out what sells, and the way that I recommend doing that is experimenting. You might lose gold doing it, but you might gain gold in the long run because you played around with it. So again, low pop servers, the things I recommend focusing on, especially if you have like raiders and people that do a lot of LFR and flexes on your server, metagems, enchants, transmog, I find all sell really well. Once again, on a high pop server, pretty much anything sells. Like I'm not even kidding. I've even listed the Dust of Disappearance or whatever the new one's called. I've listed that on Action House before and people bought it. You can buy that from a vendor for a lot cheaper. Those actually sell. Who knew? So if you're ever new on a server and you don't have gold, buy them. List them on the server. See if people buy them. I've had people pay 15 gold for one. Maybe. But if you have any questions about low pop and high pop servers, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If it's a gold question that I cannot answer, I will poke Elvine and ask him if he can reply to it. But, you know, gold making is kind of one of those things that it's really fun when it's working really well, and it can be really frustrating when it's not. But you kind of just have to figure out what works on your server, what doesn't work, and kind of go from there. It takes a lot of trial and error, but once you figure it all out, you're just like, mind blown, and then next thing you know, you're rolling in the dough, and you're like, oh yeah, I got gold. So yeah, I don't know what I'm doing with that. If you haven't already, please thumb up this video. The sun's coming up right now, so I'm getting like, I look really pale. Oops. It was raining today, so that's why. So thumbs up this video if you haven't already, and leave a comment if you have one, I guess, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye! See you later. Bye! But if you have not already, thumbed up. Gold making and all that. I don't know what this is. Excellent. I don't know what that was. I talk good. I have a song stuck in my head. It's kind of driving me nuts. I have higher pricers. Pricers is not a word. Or maybe it is. I don't know. It's not the word I wanted to use. So I don't know. Minty. These look really bright. Why was it the sun out like 5 minutes ago when I started recording, you butthead?